October 15th, 1999. BBC Headquarters, London, 2:47 a.m. Investigative journalist Michael Stevens sat alone in his office, staring at a package that had arrived anonymously that afternoon. Inside were 17 cassette tapes labeled Diana Private Recordings 1993 to 1997, and a typed note, "These are the conversations they don't want you to hear." Diana recorded these herself as insurance. She knew they would try to silence her, so she documented everything. The palace has spent 2 years trying to bury these tapes. Now it's time for the world to hear Diana's truth. As Stevens inserted the first tape into his player, Diana's voice filled the room with words that would shake the monarchy to its core. "If anything happens to me, these recordings will prove that my death was not an accident." But what Diana revealed in those tapes went far beyond concerns for her safety. She had documented the royal family's darkest secrets, and they had killed to keep those secrets buried. The Secret Recording Project. January 1993. Diana's insurance policy. Diana's decision to secretly record conversations began during the worst period of her marriage breakdown. After discovering that Charles had been recording her private moments for Camilla's entertainment, Diana decided to create her own documentation of royal family interactions. "If they're going to record me," Diana told her close friend Rosa Monckton, "then I'm going to record them. Let's see how they like having their private words exposed." Diana acquired professional recording equipment through a contact in the security services, someone sympathetic to her situation who believed she needed protection against royal manipulation. The recording project began with simple conversations, but quickly evolved into comprehensive documentation of the royal family's private attitudes, secret plans, and hidden agendas. Over 4 years, Diana amassed hundreds of hours of recordings covering private family meetings about her Diana problem, phone conversations between royal family members, strategy sessions about controlling media coverage, discussions about limiting her access to William and Harry, most shockingly, conversations about permanent solutions to her interference. Diana kept the tapes in a secret safe deposit box, with instructions that they should be released if anything happened to her. But the most explosive recordings were yet to come. Tape 1. The Family Meeting. March 15th, 1995. The Royal Conspiracy. The first tape Stevens played contained a recording of a private family meeting at Windsor Castle, recorded by Diana, using equipment hidden in her purse. Queen Elizabeth's voice was unmistakable. The Diana situation has become untenable. Her popularity threatens the stability of the monarchy. Prince Philip, the woman is impossible to control. Every attempt to guide her results in more rebellion. Charles, she's planning more television interviews. After Panorama, God knows what she'll reveal next. Queen, we need a comprehensive strategy to neutralize Diana's influence. What options do we have? An unknown male voice, presumably a palace advisor. Several approaches, ma'am. Legal restrictions on her media appearances, financial pressure through custody arrangements, or more permanent solutions. Queen, explain permanent solutions. Advisor, Diana's popularity depends on her being seen as a victim. If she were removed from the equation, public sympathy would eventually fade, and the focus would return to Charles and the boys. Prince Philip, you're talking about elimination. Advisor, I'm talking about protecting the crown by any means necessary. The recording continued for another 40 minutes, detailing specific plans to isolate Diana, control her finances, limit her media access, and if necessary, arrange an accident that would end her interference permanently. Stevens felt sick as he realized he was listening to the royal family planning Diana's murder. Don't miss this devastating revelation. What Diana recorded about her children. Tape 5, The Custody Weapon. July 22, 1996. Using the children. The fifth tape contained a conversation between Charles and his legal advisors about using William and Harry as weapons against Diana. Charles, I want complete custody. Diana's influence on the boys is damaging their royal education. Legal advisor, Your Royal Highness, the courts typically favor mothers in custody cases. We need stronger evidence of Diana's unfitness. Charles, what kind of evidence? Advisor, her mental health history, eating disorder documentation, evidence of unstable relationships. Charles, I have recordings of her emotional outbursts. Advisor, excellent, but we need more, perhaps incidents that demonstrate her inability to protect the children. Charles, what do you mean? Advisor, situations where the children are put at risk due to Diana's poor judgment, security lapses, inappropriate companions, dangerous activities. Charles, and if such situations don't occur naturally. Advisor, they can be arranged. A security failure here, a media ambush there, nothing that actually harms the children, but enough to demonstrate Diana's reckless parenting. The conversation revealed a systematic plan to manipulate situations that would make Diana appear to be an unfit mother, using her own children as bait in carefully orchestrated scenarios designed to destroy her custody rights. Stevens realized that Diana hadn't just been paranoid about her safety. She had been documenting real threats against her and her children. You won't believe what Diana recorded about the palace's media manipulation. Tape 9, The Media Conspiracy. September 8, 1996, Controlling the Narrative. The 9th tape contained a recording of a meeting between palace press secretaries and newspaper editors, revealing the extent of royal media manipulation. Palace press secretary: "Gentlemen, we need your cooperation in managing the Diana narrative. Her recent activities are damaging the crown's reputation." Editor 1: "What kind of management are we talking about?" Press secretary: "Positive coverage for Charles and the boys, negative coverage for Diana. Focus on her emotional instability, her inappropriate relationships, her failure as a mother." Editor 2: "Do you have material to support these narratives?" Press secretary: "We can provide background briefings, exclusive access to palace sources, and financial incentives for cooperative coverage." Editor 1: "What about Diana's side of the story?" Press secretary: "Diana's version of events should be portrayed as unreliable, emotional, and self-serving. Any journalist who takes her side should find their palace access restricted." The recording revealed that the palace had been systematically bribing and threatening journalists to control coverage of Diana, creating a media environment where truth was determined by royal approval rather than factual accuracy. Most shocking was the revelation that several prominent royal correspondents were on the palace payroll, receiving monthly payments in exchange for favorable coverage of the royal family and negative coverage of Diana. But the most explosive tape was still to come. Tape 12, The Assassination Plan. November 20th, 1996, The Paris Option. The 12th tape contained a conversation that made Stevens's blood run cold. It was a detailed discussion of plans to eliminate Diana permanently. Unknown Voice 1: "The Paris operation is ready. Assets are in place." Unknown Voice 2: "Timeline." Voice 1: "We're waiting for the right opportunity. Diana needs to be isolated from British security, in a foreign location, with plausible circumstances for an accident." Voice 2: "The Al-Fayed relationship provides perfect cover. Playboy billionaire, fast cars, paparazzi chase, all the elements for a believable accident." Voice 1: "Henri Paul is compromised. He'll ensure the vehicle is vulnerable when the moment comes. And if Diana survives the initial impact?" Voice 1: "Medical response will be delayed. Multiple failures in the emergency system will ensure the outcome." Voice 2: "What about investigation?" Voice 1: "French authorities are cooperative. Inquiry will focus on paparazzi pursuit and driver intoxication. No deeper investigation will be permitted." Stevens realized he was listening to the detailed planning of Diana's assassination in Paris, 8 months before it actually happened. The tape proved that Diana's death wasn't a tragic accident, but a carefully orchestrated assassination planned and executed by elements within the British establishment. Don't miss this shocking cover-up. What happened when these tapes were discovered? The Palace Discovery. August 1997. The frantic search. After Diana's death in Paris, the palace launched a frantic search for her secret recordings. They knew she had been documenting conversations, and they were terrified about what those tapes might contain. Palace security teams searched Kensington Palace thoroughly, but found nothing. The tapes weren't in Diana's personal safe, her private study, or any of her usual hiding places. The search expanded to include Diana's lawyers' offices, her friends' homes, safe deposit boxes registered in her name, storage facilities she might have used. But Diana had been too clever. She had hidden the tapes with someone the palace would never suspect, and had arranged for their release only under specific circumstances. Meanwhile, elements within the security services began their own search for the recordings, understanding that their contents could implicate them in Diana's assassination. The race was on to find and destroy the evidence before it could surface. The Journalist's Dilemma. October 1999. The Impossible Decision. Michael Stevens sat in his BBC office, surrounded by evidence that could bring down the British monarchy and expose a royal assassination conspiracy. But he also understood the personal danger he faced. The tapes implicated powerful people who had already demonstrated their willingness to kill to protect their secrets. Stevens called his editor. "I have material that will revolutionize everything we know about Diana's death, but broadcasting it could put everyone involved in mortal danger." What kind of material? Recordings of the royal family planning Diana's assassination, detailed conversations about the Paris operation, proof that her death was murder. The editor was silent for a long moment. "Michael, are you absolutely certain these recordings are authentic? Voice analysis confirms they're genuine. The technical details match what actually happened in Paris. These tapes prove Diana was murdered, and if we broadcast them, we expose the truth about the most shocking crime in modern British history. But we also make ourselves targets for the same people who killed Diana." The burial, October 1999, the decision to suppress. After weeks of agonizing deliberation, BBC executives made the decision that would haunt them forever. The Diana tapes would not be broadcast. The official justification was insufficient corroboration of extraordinary claims. The real reason was fear. The tapes were locked in the BBC's highest security vault, with access restricted to 3 senior executives who swore never to reveal their contents. Stevens was reassigned to other stories and warned never to discuss what he had heard. The anonymous source who had provided the tapes was never identified, but shortly after the BBC's decision, a man matching the description of Diana's former security advisor was found dead in his London apartment. Official cause: suicide. The tapes remained buried, just as Diana had predicted they would be. The leaked transcripts. 2003, fragments surface. 6 years after Diana's death, partial transcripts of the tapes began appearing on conspiracy websites and in underground publications. The fragments were dismissed by mainstream media as fabricated conspiracy theories, but they contained details about Diana's death that wouldn't be publicly known for several more years. Investigators noted that the leaked transcripts accurately predicted Henri Paul's compromised status, the delay in medical response, the suppression of witness testimony, the focus on paparazzi rather than other factors. But the full tapes remained hidden, protected by a conspiracy of silence that stretched from the BBC to the highest levels of government, the truth suppressed. The Diana tapes represent the most explosive evidence ever compiled about the royal family's involvement in Diana's death. Diana's decision to record conversations proved prescient. She understood that her words would be dismissed unless she had proof. The tapes provide that proof in Diana's own voice and in the voices of those who planned her elimination. But they also demonstrate the power of institutional conspiracy to suppress truth, even when that truth is documented beyond reasonable doubt. The BBC's decision to bury the tapes shows how deeply the establishment will go to protect itself, even when faced with evidence of murder. The lasting cover-up. Today, 25 years after Diana's death, the tapes remain buried in BBC archives. Successive governments have classified them under national security restrictions that won't expire until 2057. The few people who have heard the complete recordings are bound by Official Secrets Acts and non-disclosure agreements that carry criminal penalties. Diana's voice, speaking truth about her own murder, remains silenced by the very institutions that claim to serve the public interest. But technology evolves, and secrets have a way of surfacing. The Diana tapes may be buried, but they're not destroyed. Someday the world will hear Diana's final testimony about the conspiracy that killed her. And when that day comes, the House of Windsor's carefully constructed narrative will crumble forever. The ultimate truth. Diana's secret recordings prove that she was not paranoid about threats against her life. She was documenting real plans for her assassination. Her death in Paris wasn't a tragic accident caused by paparazzi pursuit and drunk driving. It was a carefully planned operation carried out by elements within the British establishment. The tapes provide voice evidence of the conspiracy, timeline evidence of the planning, and technical evidence of the execution. But they also prove that truth, no matter how well documented, can be suppressed when powerful institutions conspire to hide it. Diana spoke truth to power. Power responded by burying her voice along with her body. The tapes remain hidden, but they exist, and someday, they will speak again. Some secrets are too big to stay buried forever. Some voices are too powerful to be silenced permanently. Diana's truth is waiting in those buried tapes, ready to destroy the lies that have protected her killers for decades.